When I was 4 years old, me and my family would tune into some public broadcast service and watch some classic holiday specials like Charlie Brown Christmas, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and A Kung Fu Panda Christmas. But there was one special that I would tune in for every year.
The snowman was a jolly happy soul.
Frosty the Snowman is a 1969 animated special based on the popular Christmas song of the same name. I have loved the original short for most of my life. I did watch Frosty's Returns a few times when I was a kid, but don't really remember much of it. And I did watch The Legend of Frosty the Snowman for a cringe video I don't like looking back on. Now, before we talk about these specials, I would like to introduce a friend of mine, YINSED. Introduce yourself.
Hi Aiden, thanks for having me on. I'm a YouTuber who talks about animated movies and also really like sharks. Like, a lot. I remember watching the original Frosty the Snowman once when I was little. I watched the last one multiple times when I was little. I have not watched the two in between until now. So, yeah, we're talking about Frosty the Snowman.
Happy birthday!
The original Frosty the Snowman is a classic from 1969. I haven't seen this special in over 7 years, and going back to it was a nostalgia trip, if I say so. But looking at it with a more critical eye, it has a lot of problems. The story of this special is quite a simple one. Frosty comes to life thanks to Professor Hinkley. But when the temperature starts to rise, Frosty must get to the North Pole while Karen travels with him while the magician follows them to get his hat back. The story is a simple one. I guess you can say it's a tale as old as time, true as it can be. The animation in this special has aged. Frosty and the Magician look decent, but the other character designs are a little strange at certain moments.
Yeah, I always thought there was something weirdly off about the designs on a lot of these kids. They're not terrible, but they do feel out of place compared to how Frosty and the Professor look. It lacks the same level of consistency with its visual style, in sharp contrast to something like Rudolph with its stop-motion animation. But as dated as the visuals might look here, it didn't take me out of the short too much. I think there's a lot of individual sequences that stand out, like whenever there's a close-up on snow, or just the environments in general. Plus, I like how Frosty is designed to be this huggable, gentle giant. I mean, look at him, he's adorable.
I think one of the problems with this special is that there's a lack of tension till the last 5 minutes at the nursery when he locks Frosty in. And I don't think Hocus was all that necessary in the plot, though he was entertaining and I got a few laughs in there. Also, the way the conflict is resolved is kinda stupid, where Santa would stop giving presents to this adult magician. So climactic, I guess. Though, I will say the scene where Frosty turns into a puddle really chokes on the heartstrings. But the ending is sweet and ends just like how the story ends in the original song, with Frosty going to the North Pole and saying,
I'll be back on Christmas Day!
It's a classic, so a 6 out of 10. Fun for the holidays.
You've heard the old familiar tale, how Frosty came to life. But do you know the story of how Frosty took a wife?
Frosty's Winter Wonderland is a direct sequel to the first one, a sequel that I have not watched until now, and it's whatever. There's not a whole lot that I actively disliked or anything, but in general, I just feel like this one lacks the same magic and imagination that was present with the first, in spite of that one also being pretty flawed. Let's start out with the actual setup. I always find it to be a pretty obnoxious trope to just thrust in a love interest in the second installment of a franchise. It's often a sign that there's not a whole lot for it to offer, but whatever, I guess we're giving Frosty a girlfriend anyways because he's lonely. At least Frosty was just as fun and enjoyable as he was in his first appearance. He's such a pure character that you definitely don't want to see down, but once he actually makes his girlfriend, the short falls into a massive downward spiral. So basically, the plan is to give Frosty's girlfriend a hat to bring her to life, but it doesn't work. But Frosty still wants to be with her despite not being alive. That's sweet. But then she does come to life when Frosty gives her a bouquet of flowers, and I don't know, it just feels like an extremely lazy way for this scene to play out. The original Frosty short was very clear about how the magic in this universe works. Frosty's hat makes them talk. He melts whenever he's in the heat. It's not complicated. So what happens when this lady snowman puts the flowers down and she's still able to walk and talk and make love? Oh, wait a minute. Literally, yes. There's no sense of structure to how this element of the story came to be. It just happens because the plot needs it to. This is something that carries over to the other two movies as well. Nothing about the events that occur feel all that cohesive. I know that's a weird thing to complain about in a short very clearly meant for little kids, but this just reeks of lazy writing so hard. I guess the chemistry between the two of them is fine, even though Lady Snowman is kind of a blank slate in terms of personality. She just wants to marry Frosty because she wants to be a wife. I don't know, at this point I kind of checked out. I sure hope the next Frosty movie gives her some more development outside of that. Also, I should probably be grateful that this short came out when it did, since there's no way Lady Snowman's design would be this tame if it came out today.
My main problem with this special is how Jack Frost feels like a threat for about 2/3 of the time, then just doesn't show up in the middle when he is quite charming and kind of sounds like the Joker. Also, there's no real structure to this special. Frosty's glad to be with the kids, then is upset because he wants a wife, then he just randomly dies. Also, the special kind of forgets rule number 1 of snowmen coming to life, though this won't be the only time, but when the whole point is a certain object brings them to life, like a hat and a bouquet of flowers, can make the snow person come to life. Yet Frosty could just somehow come back to life when his wife kisses him. He comes back to life, and there are certain objects that need to be in the snowman to make them come to life, like a book. This is very confusing and kind of ignores the rules of the original special. Also, you make the antagonist of your special, whose goal it is, I remind you, is killing Frosty, and make him the best man? What is this, My Little Pony? Overall, this is the one special I keep forgetting about, and I am literally forgetting about it as we speak. But the animation's a little better than the original, and there are some good scenes. But overall, just forgettable. 4 out of 10. Frosty's Return I've seen a few times as a kid, and like with the original, I haven't seen it in a long time, and rewatching it now, it's not that good thinking about it. In fact, this is probably the worst Frosty special on this list. Well, first, the special is not connected to the other Frosty specials, so this special is its own thing and not connected. So the special is about people not liking snow when this little girl named Holly is studying a magic trick when she runs into Frosty. Now, the fact she isn't shocked about Frosty being alive is weird. Then we are introduced to Frosty, who apparently doesn't need to keep his hat on and can just do whatever he wants. And the conflict is that people are melting the snow and that it's infecting the environment. Then we go into why the snow is important for the environment. Then we go into a song about it needing to snow, which unironically slaps, I'm not gonna lie. Then Frosty gets hit by the spray, and then they rebuild him, and then we sing about snow, then Frosty leaves and the special ends. I literally have very few things to say about this special, because I was bored for most of this. I will say this is the hardest John Goodman has ever acted. Like, when you hear him in The Emperor's New Groove and Monsters Incorporated, you hear the same voice, yet in the special he sounds different than what he normally does. Also, the song, like I said, it unironically slaps. 3 out of 10. YINSED, have anything to say?
Nope, you pretty much hit it right on the money. I feel like this is the one Frosty product that I got no enjoyment out of, whether it be ironic or genuine. It's very disconnected from the rest of them both visually and narratively, and the new characters just aren't interesting or entertaining. Even Frosty just isn't the same here, which showcases how this franchise really overstayed its welcome. The funniest thing about this one is how it completely ignores everything that happened in the second one. They got away with it in the first one since it was more or less just a side quest, except last time they were actually important events. What happened to Lady Snowman? I must know. Did she find a sexier snowman than Frosty? Everything that happened there goes completely unacknowledged, so are we just gonna assume Frosty's cool with being lonely again? I don't like asking all these introspective questions about media with talking snowman, oh my god. But yeah, 3 seems fair. Now let's get on to the one that you've all been waiting for.
It is time for the man, the myth, the legend of Frosty the Snowman.
Frosty the Snowman was a jolly happy soul.
The Legend of Frosty the Snowman is a feature-length movie, and the only one that is an entire movie. This movie I saw back in 2019 and literally haven't seen it since. I will say that for a TV movie, the animation is really good, with it being expressive and simple in design. Actually, Frosty is the most consistent thing about this movie. Every time he's on screen, it's a good time and you are just happy in the moment. Also, the jokes surrounding him are pretty funny.
This is beautiful, Sarah. And the best part is, the only thing you need to complete your vision is right here.
Oh, Frosty.
No, literally, it's right here in my chest cavity.
Oh.
Bill Fagerbakke is in this movie and makes Frosty very expressive, even though it sounds like Patrick Star to me. Oh yeah, Tom Kenny is in this as well, and he really doesn't sound like SpongeBob, which was very weird to me. Actually, while the characters aren't interesting in this movie, they do have good voices, and they do a good job, and it's very nice. I like how the movie is connected to the original special by implying that the main character's father was related to the magician from the original special, which is pretty cool. And there are some moments that make me smile and chuckle a few times, but overall, it is...
Say the line, Bart!
painfully average. Like, the movie is just fine, and there are some things in this movie I don't like. The villain is really stupid in this. His plan is to take over the town, yet his backstory is that he was jealous of the mayor of the town as a kid and locked up his hat. Like, I don't mind there being an antagonist in a Frosty product since it's been there since the beginning. But man, they really didn't know what to do with him. I have no interest in this main character since he really doesn't do much. He's mostly on the sidelines while the side characters are doing the fun stuff. Also, this movie has heist sequences, which is pretty boring since you know they're gonna win. But at least the ending of the movie is happy and did make me tear up a bit watching it again. Overall, like I said, a painfully average movie. When Frosty's not on screen, it's not really all that good, but whenever Frosty is on screen, it's just a fun time and I enjoy it. 5 out of 10. Anything else to say, YINSED?
Believe it or not, I actually think that this film does the best job with the characters that aren't Frosty. Most of the people he interacts with exist as plot devices and are pretty forgettable, but it's nice that they attempted to give the kids in this some interesting characterization. It's not amazing, but it was something worth mentioning. They all have to deal with these strict rules without getting a chance to be themselves or have fun, and Frosty brings a little bit of magic to all of their lives. I also think this is easily the best looking out of the four. Its style reminded me a lot of Proud Family with its character designs, and it looks consistently solid overall. But the main plot of the story really drags in a lot of key areas, which is an indicator that this is a plot that doesn't feel like it can fill up a feature film's runtime. Very little feels like it's happening to advance the story once Frosty meets the kids. The fact that this villain's hilariously petty plot is played entirely straight is also weird, like, I'm not intimidated by this guy. And despite this being a movie where Patrick Star voices a talking snowman, and SpongeBob voices a fascist dictator man-child, this movie's not funny. Honestly, that's what I really wanted more from this movie. I wanted some more laughs. Instead of getting a hilariously bad piece of garbage with incomprehensible filmmaking that activated my humor like no other, we got a fairly adequate and bland entry in this fairly adequate and bland franchise. But like, this one was harmless and definitely wasn't as bad as expected. In my opinion, the best of the 3 sequels, even though that's not really saying much.
Overall, this has been an interesting ride to go down. I loved these specials as a kid, and now with a more critical eye, they're just fine. Nothing great, nothing bad, just fine overall. But I'm glad you're able to join me on this ride, Sid, and I hope y'all have a happy new year. If you liked today's video, consider leaving a like and subscribing for more. Please check out my social media on Twitter, Letterboxd, and on Patreon that I just opened up today. If you join for $1, you can get Discord benefits, and you get to see thumbnails early, link in the description. I would like to thank my friend YINSED for joining me on this ride like I said. And until then, I'm Avatar Aiden, and I will see y'all next time.